Good morning, friends. On the topic of safety again, you thought you were done, didn't you? One of the things that I found over the years is a book that I have found that I quote often. The book is called The Speed of Trust, and it's by Stephen M.R. Covey. And it's actually a business book, but I found it, and while I was in grad school, I found it and I read it, and it was really interesting to me because the very first circle of trust that he talks about is self-trust. And so I want to talk a little bit about his book and a little bit about a couple of things that are in this that are really important to begin to find some healing and health. So the quote that I read the most from his book it starts on page 67. But the very first piece of building self-trust is increasing our integrity. And the first piece of that is make and keep commitments to yourself. So I'm going to read his little section here, and I'll link the book and everything in the description. But I want you to understand where this starts. So he says, first, don't make too many commitments. If you do, you're setting yourself up for failure. Differentiate between a goal, a direction, a focus, and an actual commitment. When you make a commitment to yourself, do so with a clear understanding that you're pledging your integrity. Second, treat a commitment you make to yourself with as much respect as you do the commitments you make to others. Whether it's a commitment of time, an appointment with yourself to exercise or read or sleep, or a commitment to prioritize your energy and focus, treat it and yourself with respect. Third, don't make commitments impulsively. I learned this lesson the hard way one time when we were having a family discussion about health. It was around New Year's, and as we were talking, we decided that we all needed to drink more water instead of soda pop. I started to really get caught up in the spirit of improvement, and, filled with bravado, but no humility, I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a commitment to myself to drink nothing but water for this entire year. No soda, no juices, nothing but water. Well, that was foolish, and I lived to regret it. I kept the commitment, but it was hard. Out of the experience, I learned to be careful about making commitments and to make sure they were made out of humility and not pride. Finally, understand when keeping your commitment becomes hard, you have two choices. You can change your behavior to match your commitment, or you can lower your values to match your behavior. One choice will strengthen your integrity. The other will diminish it and erode your confidence in your ability to make and keep commitments in the future. In addition, that shift in direction with regard to values, even if it's slight, will create a change in trajectory that will create a far more significant difference in destination down the road. So I encourage you to learn to make and keep commitments to yourself with wisdom. There is no faster way to build self-trust. I have quoted that to, hundreds, if not thousands of clients over the years. Another piece of this book regarding our safety is being able to begin to ask ourselves what is happening with us. There's an exercise further in the book that he describes called the 5 whys. And the thing about the 5 whys is it's there to help us better understand why we're having a hard time with something. In his example, he talks about being passed over for a promotion. And so helping ourselves ask the question why, for understanding the depth of what is underneath that. And I'll tell you, I read this book, and at the time I was in grad school, and I decided that I was going to practice on one of my family members. And my sister and I were messaging one day on the classic, I think it was Google Talk at the time, back in the day. And she was very frustrated because her boyfriend wanted to watch Beer Fest for a second time that week. And so I decided, with her permission, to use her as a guinea pig. And I said, so why is it a problem that your boyfriend wants to watch Beer Fest a second time? And she said, well, it's an immature movie. That's an immature movie. It's just, and I said, okay. Why is it a problem that your boyfriend wants to watch an immature movie? Well, that means he's immature. That means he's immature. I said, okay, why is it a problem that your boyfriend might be immature? Because that means he'll leave me like Dad did. And very quickly, it wasn't about a movie. And so as we're paying attention to those big reactions and the things that we need for safety, when we're able to ask ourselves the 5 whys and go through and really be honest with ourselves about asking the right question and getting to the right answer, then we can understand where we still need healing. But a lot of times we get upset, we blow up, and that could be an implosion or an explosion depending on who we are. And then we go into our escape patterns, and then we never actually create the safety to heal or to even pay attention to what's going on inside us. And so as we're honest with ourselves and we use this skill with the 5 whys and we work to build trust with ourselves by, hey, I said I was going to do this. I'm going to keep this commitment to myself because I matter just as much as someone else matters. And we begin to create safety with ourselves. It's huge in the process of healing, because if I'm not the one who's being safe for me, if I'm the one calling myself names or being unkind or judgmental or shaming, I can't escape me. I'm right here inside my own head. There was an administrator at my old job who used to say, if you had a best friend that talked to you the way that you talk to yourself, would you be friends with them? And I want you to think about that. If you had someone in your life who spoke to you the way that you spoke to yourself, is that a friend? Is that an enemy? Is that a teammate? Do they get a vote? Or is there something we could do to be safer for ourselves? To understand and make space, be curious about the pain that still shows up and tries to get attention, but we ignore it because we are scared of the pain that we could find. I know it's hard work. I know it's scary work, but I also know things don't get better if we don't do the hard, scary things. Good luck this week.